Hi theory students. Today we're going to finish up the chapter on leading tone chords. We'll be talking about the inversions of the 7/7, and in the very last part of the chapter there's a brief bit about other voice leading chords. First, the inversions of the 7/7. Each one substitutes for the 5/7 inversion that shares the same bass note. So, for example, the 7/7 will substitute for the 5/6/5. They each have scale degree 7 in the bass. The 7/6/5 will substitute for a 5/4/3. Each one has scale degree 2 in the bass. And the 7/4/3 will substitute for a 5/4/2. They each have scale degree 4 in the bass. We don't really use a 7/4/2 for reasons that we'll get into when I show you the examples. We still have all the voice leading that we had before, that is to say, all the voices move by step when they go to the tonic chord. Scale degree 7, the leading tone goes to the tonic. Scale degree 4 goes to scale degree 3. Scale degree 6 goes to scale degree 5. And scale degree 2 can go either up or down, but it may not be able to go down if we have to avoid diminished fifth to perfect fifth. We'll look at a few examples. Here in D minor, we have a 7/7 going to 1. I'm going to write that 7/7 so that you can see the tritones a little more clearly. So on the bottom, here's the tritone between C sharp and G, and on the top here's a tritone between E and B flat. So just as we were saying, in D minor, scale degree 6 is a B flat, goes to scale degree 5. The bass shows the leading tone going up to the tonic. Scale degree 4 goes down to scale degree 3. And here's scale degree 2 in the alto. If it goes down, then it would create a diminished fifth to perfect fifth with the soprano. So here it's more typical to have it go up. By the way, if this were D major instead of D minor, it would have to go up because then that would be perfect fifth to perfect fifth if that went down. The way to get around that, by the way, would be if the E were actually higher than the B flat. So here's what we get as a result, and we covered this kind of progression in the last video cast. Note, by the way, that the only difference between this and a 5/6/5 in D minor is the B flat. If the B flat were A instead, it would be a 5/6/5 to 1, not a 7/7 to 1. That's why these are so closely related. The next one, the 7/6/5 to 1/6, we're going to fill this in, and now let's put the C sharp there. Remember in minor to make a leading tone. We're going to put the G there and the B flat over here. Leading tone up to tonic, scale degree 6, down to scale degree 5. And now we can take the G in either direction. Although in this case there's no particular reason to double the fifth of the chord, we can go down to the F and make a 1/6 with the F doubled. This resembles a 5/4/3. The only difference is that if this were a 5/4/3, that would be an A instead of a B flat, and the voice leading would run the same way otherwise. Now the 7/4/3 to a 1/6. If we do a similar thing here, leading tone goes up to tonic, scale degree 6 goes down, and scale degree 2 can go either way. Here we end up doubling the root when it goes that way. I'd said before that we generally don't use a 7-4-2, and that's because imagine if this B flat were in the bass, it would have to go down to A, and that would be the 5th of the 1 chord, and the 1-6-4, if the A were in the bass, is an unstable chord. So therefore we don't use that at all. So here's what they sound like. First the 7-6-5 to 1-6. And now the 7-4-3 to 1-6. Just like the 5-6-5, the 7-7 has to go to a root position 1. Just like the 5-4-3, the 7-6-5 can go to a 1-6 or to a root position 1. And just like the 5-4-2, the 7-4-3 has to go to a 1-6. We don't leap from the space to go to a root position 1. To review what we just covered, all voices move by step when 7-7 goes to 1. Leading tone goes up, 7th of the chord, scale degree 6 goes down, scale degree 4 goes down to scale degree 3, scale degree 2 can go either way, provided it doesn't cause diminished fifth to perfect fifth. If this is a major key and we're looking at a half diminished 7th chord, the same voice leading applies, except now we certainly don't move perfect fifth to perfect fifth if scale degree 2 goes down. The 7-7 substitutes for a 5-6-5. The 7-6-5 substitutes for a 5-4-3. The 7-4-3 substitutes for a 5-4-2. And the 7-4-2 with the 7th of the chord in the bass really isn't used at all. The last part of the chapter deals with other voice leading chords. These are expansions where one or more voices move by step. The first one we'll look at is the 2-4-2 in between a pair of 1 chords, whether it's in major or in minor. This uses upper neighbors in all 3 of the upper voices, not just 2 of them, and the bass stays on the tonic throughout. In that way it resembles the neighboring 6-4. Let's look at how this works. Here in G major, where we're going 1, 2-4-2, and 1, think about it this way. If this were a neighboring 6-4, we would go to upper neighbors in these voices but keep the G. Now when we move the G as well, and then go back, note here that this chord, A, C, E, G, spells a 2-4-2 in G major, but the 7th of the chord here does not resolve. It stays as a pedal point. As I said, the only difference between this and the 4-6-4, the neighboring 6-4, is a soprano voice, which goes up to A and back instead of staying on G. Sounds like this. As opposed to the neighboring 6-4. That's one kind of voice leading chord. Another kind is when we have something like a passing tone in the bass, and then we have the question as to whether we're going to call this a 1-4-2 or just call the F sharp in this case a passing tone. So if I fill out the rest of the chord, I don't even have to move anything. Although I could shift the position, I could also keep that where it is. And then we can very comfortably go to the C major chord in first inversion, like that. I'm sorry. From here, if I wanted to go to a regular 4, and then cadential 6/4, that might make for a nice phrase. And notice so the question is whether to call this a 1-4-2 or just to call the F sharp a passing tone. Either view is correct, but if we call it a 1-4-2, that's just a voice leading chord to get us from the 1 to the 4-6. That's the end of chapter 17 and the end of our video cast for today.